Here we go. All right, now everybody can hear me. Again, welcome everybody to the fall semester. I was hoping that everybody would not be wearing masks, but unfortunately that's not the case. I can unmask myself just because I'm a little far away, so even if I wanted to spit, it's not going to go that far. You have chosen a great department. I'm not saying this because I'm the department head, but sooner or later you will find out that this is really the crowning jewel of the South. And I would strongly encourage you to, talk to your professors as soon as possible, right? Maybe today, that would be good. If not, definitely on Monday to start knocking on doors. How many of you are actually TAs? Okay, and the rest are RAs? Okay, well, either way, for folks who are TAs, I would strongly encourage you to look at it as a bridging funding mechanism for you, okay? So you need to, at the end of the year, make sure that you are on path and engaged with an advisor who can actually not only intellectually support you, but also financially support you in terms of an RA or any other activity. Dr. Du, of course, will mesmerize you with the next half an hour of, what are the rules and regulations of being a good graduate student. Please pay special attention to all of these. These are not to stop you from growing. We have to abide by certain rules, right? And few of you are international students. There are even more stringent rules on that account. Nonetheless, I would have stated here that follow my path through the graduate education, but I'm certainly not the one that you need to follow. I was always a lazy student, right? The one that would always sit in the back. Yeah, good for you. But there are other individuals who would kind of come in here and tell you all the great things they're doing. Please do it. Talk to them and find out a topic for you to form a research topic as soon as possible. Okay. Any questions for me at this particular instance of time? Okay, so what are the course of period? Of course, after Dr. Du tells you all about our graduate program, there will be a few folks coming in from our 4 research areas, right? The 4 emphasis areas, they span from signal processing all the way to computer systems, power systems, and wireless communication. And that would basically enable you to give us receive a snapshot of all the research activities that are happening within the department. Some of the faculty members may not show up here today to welcome you, but that does not mean that they're not interested in welcoming you. There's the fact that they have other engagements that they're currently subscribed to. But again, our office doors are all open, and mine is always open. So if nobody else can entertain you, please feel free to come to my office. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm Jenny Du. I'm a graduate coordinator in this department. In the next probably 40 minutes or 45 minutes, I'm going to go through the ECE graduate program policies. The reason we hold your release for registration because we want to make sure everybody is aware of our policy. Okay. Okay, before I start my presentation, I want to introduce Miss Carrie Black. She is assistant our graduate program. So sometimes if you not be able to get contact with me for various reasons, you can contact her and she will be always there to help you. I'm not sure, do we have some faculty member here? Oh, everybody. Oh, yeah. Okay. Dr. Diao. Okay, sorry, because that's our new faculty member. That's I actually first time meet with him because previously we just on WebEx interview kind of thing. And Dr. Diao will introduce his research this afternoon. Okay, we also have several other faculty members will introduce their research and also the research of each emphasis area, as Dr. Kang just mentioned. So you need to start to think about who is your major professor. So stay here to listen to these presentations will help you to think about who will be your major professor. You will be released today, so you will be ready to register courses, including research hours. So that means you need to find somebody. You need to register somebody's research hours. Okay, so that's what I try to say. Okay, now I'm going to double check some. Oh. Okay, I share my screen. I wish people online can also see my slides. Everything actually is on the internet. You will go to our ECE website, then choose grad, then you will see ECE Graduate Handbook. So the new version has already been posted. So everything is there, but I don't think everybody will, at this moment, will read everything. So I'm going to quickly go through the most important things. Okay, so everything you can go back to read the handbook, but I just highlight here if you want to know more details. So first part is I'm going to talk about the general information policy that's in chapter section 1. That is about the master program. So some of you are here, master program. For master program, you may choose non-thesis or you want to do thesis. So the requirement will be different than PhD. Some of you are PhD here, so you should pay attention to that section. But the first section basically is general for everybody. And the last one is about distance education, because we have lots of people online. They are distance students. Okay. Oh, by the way, I want to point out that in our department, we offer a combined degree in electrical and computer engineering. So the degree, the name is ECE. It's not EE or CPE. So in our undergraduate program, we separate them into two. So some people in electrical engineering, some people in computer engineering. So in the first probably 2 years or 1 or 2 years, the courses are basically the same. But then go to their junior years, their emphasis area will be different. But that's not the case for graduate program. We just have a combined degree. So every time you are asked you name of your major, that should be electrical and computer engineering. So there are some forms, stuff you need to fill in. Just remember that's about ECE. Okay, so first part is probation, right? So you just admitted, but we need to talk about this probation first. So make sure you understand. You don't go to that stage. Okay. Most important thing is your GPA cannot below to 3.0. If your GPA below 3.0, you will be on academic probation. While you're on probation, you are not eligible to receive any financial assistantship. So if you are TA, then you will not be TA anymore. Okay, if you are RA, you are very good at the research, but unfortunately, your GPA is below 3.0, then your major professor just cannot hire you as a RA. Okay. For on-campus student, so you are on-campus student here in this room, so you need to raise your GPA in the following semester. Okay, if you are not raise your GPA back to 3.0 by the end of next semester, you will be dismissed. You will not be you are not allowed to stay in this program anymore. For distance students, then they are allowed to take next 9 credit hours to raise their GPA. So why? Well, first one is about the next semester, another is about 9 credit hours, because distance students are considered as part-time students. So they don't need to register for 9 credit hours. So they can choose 3 credit hours or even 1 credit hours. So which means they can have a little bit longer time to raise their GPA back. But for full-time students on campus, you need to enroll for at least 9 credit hours. That means by end of next semester, your GPA have to move back. Okay, so here is about probation, not just for academic performance. You may also, some students also have like a misconduct probation, like a violate student honor code. So for those kind of probation, the students are also not eligible for financial assistantships or fellowships. Okay, for dismissal, you can read this, the entire list. So first is about, as I mentioned, the probation, right? For misconduct probation, for students like valid honor code, there is some time limit, say by end of some time, the student need to complete some kind of training, then the misconduct probation can be lifted. So that is another story, but for academic probation about GPA. And also, if you got a D or F, okay, unfortunately, got D and F, graduate students are allowed to retake the course, but you have to get the grade above C. Otherwise, that means dismissal. And if there's a 2 C's, dismissal, and the U means unsatisfied, we give the U grade for courses like research hours. So for research hours, you will either get satisfied S degree, S grade, or U unsatisfied grade. If you got 2 unsatisfied grade about your research, you will also be dismissed. And also about student honor code violation. And if you fail non-thesis comprehensive exam, that is for non-thesis master student, fail twice, fail defense twice, all this means dismissal. And also for PhD, we're going to talk about qualify. So not pass the coursework-based qualify in the designated time period, that also will result in dismissal. So I will provide more details about coursework-based qualify for PhD student, okay? And we have 5 prerequisite courses. This is particularly important for international students or any student your undergraduate degree is not in ECE. Okay, so you need to make sure your transcript show these courses. Otherwise, at some point, I will reach out to you, say, hi, you missed this course, you have to take it. So that's including 3413 here. You can find all this detail in the handbook. That's intro to circuits. Okay. 3424, that's intermediate circuits. 3443, that's the signals and the systems, right? For people, if you said you are a graduate, you got a graduate degree in ECE, but you don't even know circuits theory. You don't even know signal systems. That is not just, it's just not right, okay? And then 3714, that is the digital devices. And the 3724, that is microprocessors. And another one is you can either take microprocessor, or we have another course, it's called digital system design. Either one, that is split level course, which means that has a graduate level course. So if you take DSD, you will also be able to earn graduate credit for your degree. Okay, but anyhow, if you have any question, just let me know. Okay. And also for this prerequisite course, it does not mean you have to take it in Mississippi State. So for some students, let's say they are distant students, they can choose to take these courses in their local school, in the community college, if their local school offers equivalent courses. Okay, so any question about the prerequisite, please let me know. Okay, course load, right? So you're going to register courses today. This is a very busy, you were able to see, okay. The full-time, as a full-time student, that's at least 9 credit hours. So that is required for international students. So for international students with F1 visa, you must register as a full-time student, which means at least 9 credit hours. And our university consider 9 to 13 credit hours are normal course load. So there's no, the tuition, everything will be the same. So you register, as long as you are full-time, you register 9 credit hours or 13 credit hours, you will receive the same amount of tuition bill. But above 13 credit hours, you will be charged additional. So basically, just don't need to register more than 13 credit hours, unless there's some special reason. Say you just want to graduate as soon as possible, those kind of things. But then we need to submit paperwork for approval. And if you are TARA, our department require you to enroll in 13 credit hours. For some departments, they require TARA to register 12 credit hours. The reason we here remain to require you to enroll 13 credit hours, that's because we wish you can enroll research hours, identify major professors as early as possible. So that means you should enroll for at least 1 credit hour for research. And ECE 8000 is for master student, and ECE 9000 is for PhD student. So just don't get messed up. So for instance, if some of you register my research hour, you are a PhD student, you need to look for my name and ECE 9000. If you are a master student, you want to register my research hour, make sure you find my name. That's under ECE 8000. Okay, sometimes the student just mess up these things. Okay, as a general advisor, so I'm a graduate coordinator, so I'm general advisor for graduate students. So before you find your major professor, I provide general guidance. So any paperwork that require major professor signature, you're supposed to have major professor. But if not at this point, I will sign for you. Okay. And also, if you not be able to find a major professor, just let me know. We can help you to figure out. Okay. Here I said summer enrollment basically is not required unless you have assistantship. So if you have assistantship during the summer, you're also required to enroll for at least 6 credit hours. So 6 credit hour, that's for TARA during the summer. If you do not have any assistantship during the summer, then you just don't need to enroll. Even for F1 students, you are not required to enroll during the summer. Some TAs, you will be required to take ESL class. I think some of you already, you did the TA workshop yesterday. So you must receive some kind of instruction. If you are taking ESL class this semester, then your course load will be 9 credit hours. So you don't need to do 13 credit hours. Okay. Okay, we have a special class called the DIS, Direct Individual Study. The course code is 7000. Why this is interesting or important, because this could be highly related to your research. So for instance, if you are a PhD student, you are doing research, then you can submit a proposal saying in this semester, I'm going to do a project related to my research. Then by the end of the semester, you can submit a report that could even be like a journal article or a conference paper. Then that will be sufficient. You earn that 3 credit hours. Okay. There are some kind of constraints, like a student may not take the DIS in the first semester because now you don't have much, you don't know who's your major professor, or you don't know what your research area. It's too early to do project-based DIS. It's a little bit too early. So probably from next semester, you can think about, and also no more than 2 DIS in the entire program of study. So which means no 2 DIS in your entire, within all the courses, you can have no more than 2. And also DIS could be coursework based. What that mean? For instance, we have many courses you can select, but sometimes, for instance, I want to offer a very specific class just for my PhD student. But that's probably just have like 2 students. I don't have like enough 5 students which needed to offer a 8,000 level class. So I can choose to offer a DIS course, but that's about the course base. It's not about the project base. Then my student can take my DIS courses. So that is another thing. So either project-based or coursework-based, but no matter what, that is related to your major professor. So that's why this is important. And another important thing is this 7,000 level, it's also considered as 8,000 level courses. So what that means, we have 2 types of graduate courses. One is 8,000 level. That is only for graduate students. Okay. Another is we call it split level, 4,000 and 6,000. Those courses for both graduate and undergraduate students. So you take 6,000 level, you take 8,000 level. However, there are some requirements, like at least 50% of your courses must be at 8,000 level. But you are allowed to take 2 7,000 DIS. This counted for 8,000 level. Okay. So anyway, there are lots of things I'm talking about here. You may need to spend some time to understand or remember, but I believe some days you will realize, oh, I need something like that. You can go back to check our handbook, or you just ask me. Okay. Yeah, I will send an email to everybody about the proposal for next semester. So there is a proposal required. After my approval, then this course can be added in banner for you to take. So the deadline for spring semester, that's November 15th. So anyhow, sometime in October, you will receive my email saying you have time to send a proposal. So if you already have a good idea about your research, you can certainly discuss with your major professor, because your proposal requires a signature of major professor. Okay. Graduate assistantship, I think everybody are already familiar. I think majority of our graduate students have some type of assistantship, either TA or RA. I think probably 70%. Yeah. And for the TAs, we do provide our highest priority is give this opportunity to PhD students. Okay. And certainly you are required to pass a TA workshop, that GTA level 2 certification. Okay. I know some of you unfortunately only got a GT1 certification. Then that means you can only do some like grading things outside the classroom. But in order to do labs, help with labs, direct association with students in classroom, you need GTA level 2 certification. Okay, again, that's about, 3.0 GPA. That means as long as you receive a C grade, you need to have A grade to balance back, right? So A means 4.0, C means 2.0. So you average back, you stay with 3.0. Okay, program study and committee request form. You need to start to think about your major professor and committee members. And there are two forms you need to submit. One is a committee request. You need signature from your major professor and the committee members. After you identify your major professors, you need to discuss with him or her what are the courses you need to take. So these are the forms should be submitted by the end of first semester for full-time students. And for part-time students, again, that's required them to complete those forms after they complete 9 credit hours. Okay, I highlight here failure to submit the committee request form in time and keep it up to date may result in student not released for registration. We try, this very hard, but sometimes the student just say, oh, I not be able to find a major professor or my committee member not to respond to sign this form, those kind of thing. We hold for release, okay? But anyhow, just let me know if you meet any difficulty, because all this information need to be put into the system. And our graduate program, we modify our program in the way that faculty members get more involved with their students. So we wish like the faculty members, your major professors knows what you are doing. So we can do any kind of action or intervention or guidance as early as possible. Okay, so if you are full-time students, you need to start to think about these forms. Submit to me as early as possible. Otherwise, you may not be released for registration for the spring semester. Anyhow, I will remind you and provide you the links about those forms. And anyhow, you can always modify your program of study, right? You think now you are taking these 8 courses, but the future you probably your focus is changed, so you can modify. But we just want to know you have a plan. And it's also help us to know what are the courses are most popular. So we will know like those courses looks like we should offer more often. And even for committee members, you can always change your committee, but just like you have a plan for well-being with other people working with you. Okay, registration for courses. We require students to register for courses as early as possible. As always, the previous semester. So here, what I write here is, okay, like for this fall semester, right? The student should, this is about current students, so you are not released yet. For current students, last day of the summer semester. So here, what the last day means, that means the last day of the classes. I believe that sometime in July, end of July, that means you need to register. For the spring semester, right, spring 2022, I will email you, remind you to register. That will be last day of fall semester. Because some courses with low enrollment are in the danger of being canceled. So you need to register as soon as possible. But certainly you don't have to, let's say you need to register for 4 courses, but you only know what you want to register, probably 2, but that's fine. You just add 2. You can always add change through the first week of class. Okay, for like this coming semester, fall semester, the first day of class, is Wednesday, so August 18th, right? So the last day to add is August 25th. And the last day to drop is 2024. But you need to make, and sometimes like 5 p.m., sometimes it's 11:49 p.m. So anyway, the first day of class, I will send you guys an email about deadlines. So you will remember those deadlines. But anyhow, just make sure you check the academic calendars. Okay. I believe the drop class is 11:59 p.m., but adding the class deadline is 5 p.m. I was reminding you on the 23rd, that's a Monday. So the first week, first 5 days, you mainly have the freedom to change your schedule without any record in the transcript. But after that deadline, first you may not allow to add courses unless there are some very special cases. And if you want to drop courses, then you may end up with a W grade in your transcript. Some people just don't want to have these W's in the transcript. Okay, so you need to make up your mind what are the courses to take by the deadlines. Okay. Okay, now we move on to, is there any questions? Anyway, we have time for questions. Okay, for master programs, for non-thesis students, 30 credit hours, 30. Because in our department, most of courses, I think all the graduate level courses, the 3 credit hours. So that means you need 10 courses. So that's beyond your BS degree, beyond your DS degree. If you are doing thesis, then you will need 24 credit hours. That means 8 courses. Because you are doing thesis, right? So you need to register this 8,000 level for 6 credit hours. So you have enough time. For instance, most of students doing complete thesis in 2 years or 2.5 years. Those students probably in the first several semesters complete this course load requirement, but after that, they may just register research hours. And again, the general requirement, at least half must be 8,000 level. And 2 of them could be DIS. I just already mentioned that. And some of you, if you want to take courses outside the department, because very frequently our students take courses from the math department, right? Math department, that is fine. You want to take courses from the computer science department, that's also fine. Oh, by the way, we have a joint program in computer engineering with computer science department. So lots of courses are really quite similar, and you will be highly interested. But if a master student, you cannot take more than 9 credit hours, more than 3. Every time you want to take a course outside department, you need to let me know. Okay. Also, in the graduate handbook, it lists several courses, even 8,000 levels, you should not take. I forgot what are these. That's some like some courses provided by the math department. The reason we don't consider those, I think just because the difficulty level is not sufficient. Okay, so just to make sure you read the book and you let me know which courses outside department you want to take, if those could be considered for your degree requirement. Okay. Another thing sometimes students ask me is about transfer credit. If you have courses in your home country, international, we do not transfer credit for international institute. Okay. And if you got some additional courses from domestic, another American school, but those credits has not been used in your previous degree, then you just let me know. We can evaluate the equivalence, but that's up to 3 courses you can transfer. For instance, somebody, you already got, say, a master's degree somewhere else, but you say, okay, I think I have some courses very similar to this program, can I transfer? But I need to make sure first is those 3 courses have not been used in your previous degree, right? Second is I need to ask our faculty members to evaluate the equivalence. So we may ask you to provide the transcript and also the course syllabus, those kind of things. Okay, so anyhow, if you have question about course transfer, let me know. Because sometimes students take courses from another school, but you never finish, right? You never really finish. Have not received any degree from that school, then certainly those should be transferred as long as we see they are equivalent. The level is equivalent to courses in our program. But if in our program we don't have that similar course, sorry, then that cannot be transferred. Okay, non-thesis option. Okay, we can talk about more details for students. You just want to take courses for master's, then you will leave, right? So 10 courses. But that's not it, okay? You need to go through an oral comprehensive exam. So that one means you still need somehow a major professor, but that major professor not to really supervise with your research. So that person should be someone you take majority courses from. And then he or she will help you to put the committee together to have this oral comprehensive exam. So basically, they will ask you questions about courses you already take. Okay, so anybody, if you are considering do non-thesis masters, you have question about this comprehensive exam, just let me know. Okay, and also this is interesting thing is the oral comprehensive exam should be scheduled for no later than the last day of final exam. So we have like thesis defense, dissertation defense, those deadlines usually in the middle of the semester. So I will also remind you, but for non-thesis option, that comprehensive exam, that's the last day of final exam. So which means you have a little bit more time to prepare that oral exam. So this is much later than the thesis defense or dissertation defense deadlines. So just be aware of that. You just have, you don't have to follow the deadline for thesis submission deadlines. Okay, if you are doing a thesis, then certainly you need to write a thesis, right? This need to be announced, so which means you need to send it to help at ECE, then Jeff, our system administrator will announce everybody, say, hi, at this time, the student will defend his thesis, everybody is welcome, those kind of things. And you also need to submit to me your thesis enough time. Before you submit your thesis to your committee members through Canvas for similarity check. So plagiarism check. If you have a certain threshold high enough, I may ask you, hi, can you explain why you have so high similarity, those kind of things. If that similarity come from your own journal articles, that's totally fine. But if that's somebody else articles, but you do not cite appropriately, then I will ask you to do revision. Okay, so you need to do similarity check, and also be careful. Okay, student, for the semester you defend thesis, and the semester you apply for graduation, you need to enroll. You need to register for at least 1 credit hour. So what some people say, why that's true? Yeah, sometimes it's different. Sometimes, let's say the student defend in fall, right? But want to actually graduate in spring. Well, this happened quite often. So that means you need to register in both semesters. Okay, if that's your last semester, university will allow you to register 1 credit hour. If you have completed everything by the last day of the semester, which is the final exam day, the university will allow you to register like GRD 9011, which may only cost like, I forgot, $50 something in the following semester. That's consider you fully registered. So anyhow, that is something when you go on to that stage in several years, we can talk about. And also in that semester, you actually apply for graduation, you need to enroll the 0 credit hour lib class, the library class, 9010. This is for you thesis submission. So which means if you want to submit to library, everything should go through this lib class. Okay, so pay attention to the deadline for thesis defense, right? Well, that's different. Okay, thesis defense, there's some deadline. Then submission to library, you have initial submission, final submission, that's different. And also that deadline for graduation apply. Some students, they forgot to apply for graduation. They thought like, I done everything. I will just graduate. I will get my degree. Then somehow, no, you're not, right? Your name is not listed in that degree, graduation name. Then student, well, how come you not remind me? I say, I remind you. You see, some days I send you guys an email. So you have to make sure you check the ECE grad, that email very frequently. Okay, that's some deadline for graduation. At a certain date, you can pay late fee. At a certain date, then you just not allowed to graduate. Okay, so this is the document, and we can talk about this later. You can also go with the handbook. And for graduate committee, you need 1 major professor and 2 committee members. And that should be within our department. Okay, for doctor degree, right, peer degree, 48 credit hours, that means 8 courses and 24 credit hours. That is for student you already receive master degree in ECE. Okay, some people got degree from like MBA stuff. That's not counted here. You already got master degree in ECE, then you need 8 courses. If you direct admitted from bachelor degree, then you need 14 courses. So that's the most important thing. Okay, then 80%, 50%, 8,000 level, 2 DIS, and you can take 12 credit hours outside department, 4 courses outside department. Okay, course load require qualify. Okay, that's the most important thing for PhD. That's unique for PhD. Previously, we have qualified exam. That's a return exam. Starting this semester, we make the change. Okay, so that means for full-time students, you need to pass that qualify in 2 years. What that means, you have to take at least 18 credit hours. How many? 6 courses, right? You must take 6 ECE courses. Be careful, it's not about all ECE courses, not including DIS. And then the GPA for these 6 courses is 3.5. So that's a requirement. Okay, if not, then you have another one, basically 1 semester to raise it up. And for distance part-time students, there's no specific timeline say what time you need. As long as you complete 18 credit hours, that will be sufficient. And also, there's some, I mentioned here about additional 6 credit hours for part-time students. Okay, so this means you need to really focus on ECE courses at the beginning of the 2 semesters. Then you can make sure like 3.5 just means 3.5 means you should have more A's, right? More A's than B. You will be fine. Okay, then that's a defense. That's a very similar thing as a thesis. I just skip that. I think I probably already picked time. Okay, then dissertation defense, that's the same thing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention for the submission, that's the dissertation submission and the thesis submission. That's mainly the same thing. You need to submit, okay, wait, I have, yes, I mentioned here, after you defend your thesis dissertation, there's some kind of signature form. You need to get signature from your committee member, also from me. But before you ask me for my signature, you need to submit ECE graduation form. So there's some kind of survey form. The reason we collect that information because our graduate program are also under some kind of accreditation process. So I need those information to evaluate how good our graduate program is. So you need to complete that. You got my signature, you got every signature. Then you submit to the dean's office for dean's signature. But before that, you need to submit college exit survey. You finish that, then dean will sign. Otherwise, she or he will not sign. Then from there, you can submit it to the library. Okay, so there is a process, but anyhow, we can get those details when you are on that stage. Graduate committee, for PhD, you need 3 committee members, and 1 major professor. Okay, so that's just one more person than thesis committee. Okay, for distance education, we have people online, and some of them may watch our video afterward because the time may not be good to them. Our distance education actually is identical to the on-campus version. Distance students just take courses online. Okay, they are not required to come to campus at any point. However, some major professors may have special requirements, particularly for those majors of those researchers need to do some kind of lab measurements. Then the major professor may ask students to come to the campus for some times. And also some of our graduate students, they choose to defend their thesis or proposal things in person, not online. They just want to meet their committee member. Oh, by the way, another thing very important I forgot to mention, for PhD student, right, you need to do qualify. Then you need to pass the proposal defense before you do dissertation defense. There is a proposal defense. I think, oh yeah, here, proposal defense. That means you have some idea what you're going to do. Okay. You're also required to submit a journal article before you are allowed to defend your proposal. So after you pass a proposal defense, then you considered as PhD candidate. Okay, so that is a very important stage. After you become PhD candidate, you probably, the university may give you some kind of time limit that you must graduate. Okay, so that clock will start after you become a PhD candidate. And also before you actually defend your dissertation, you need to submit another journal article. So that is our department requirement. Okay, so you see here, it's not that difficult, right? We ask you to submit, but not actually accept it because the reason is that in different areas, publication, journal article publication, the difficulty level is just different. But your major professor may have some requirement. He or she may require you to have at least 1 paper to be accepted before you can defend. So we will always go higher, right? So our ECE requirement may be a little bit higher than graduate school. And then your major professor requirement may be a little bit higher than the department. So just to follow you major professor's guidance. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is ECE 9100. I'm not sure if you received my email because some of you may still, you are not still in my ECE grad email aliens. So from this semester, we're going to offer graduate seminar. That's a 0 credit hour. So that won't change your degree, like course load requirement, because it's a 0 credit hour. Our faculty will present monthly virtual seminars. That's for both on-campus and distance students. We'll just use WebEx. As long as you attend 3 out of 4, then that means you pass. You will get I mean that ECE 9100 will show up in your transcript. Okay, we still need university's official approval. Okay, that means at some time, ECE graduate student, no, ECE PhD student, before they graduate, they must take and pass ECE 9100 at least twice before graduation. So I believe this will pass very soon, because that's not something difficult, because that's 0 credit hour, and it's really makes sense to let our student get more exposure about our ECE research. And I believe it's also help you to think about who you want to do research with. Okay, so today you can think about if you want to enroll 9100 seminar. I will be the coordinator for that. Basically, you go WebEx online, and I may ask you to open your video in the entire 1 hour. I mean, that's mainly the Friday afternoon 1 hour. So I think that is really worthwhile. Okay, this afternoon I mentioned our faculties will present more details about our research capacity, but basically we have 4 research areas. Signal processing, machine learning, power control, high voltage, communication, and EM, and computer systems and microelectronics. Like I belong to signal processing, Dr. Dale belong to communication, EMAG, those kind of. So when think about, go through our website, you will also see the details. So this, we have 6 people in signal processing group, and we have 6, Dr. Dale's photo is not here. Okay, 6 here. We have 6 here power, right? We have very strong power group, okay? And we have 5 in computer system, actually 4. Dr. Jean, she is in engineering education and visualization. So anyhow, that is what I want to talk. And we have research labs, and Dr. Park, he will highlight some research in high voltage lab. Okay, so I think I already used lots of time. So you can hold your questions after our other presentations this morning, or probably hold until late today. Okay, so in our agenda, our next speaker is Jeff. Talk about some policy about email account, building access, those kind of things.
Needs his mask off so I can talk to you. I'm bored anyway. My name is Jeff Phillips. Administrator here. Y'all may see me from time to time. Most of the faces I send up in the queue. Anyway, we'd like to go over a few things here, just make sure. The big thing is we have 2 counts here. Image password to get it. We also have our own side here. So the ECE password is also For those of y'all that are going on grad password. Everybody that's new, I just ran the first run for this semester, so now with
Jeff, can you speak here? Because exactly.
Oh, they can't hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Video conferencing stuff's kind of new to me, believe it or not. Trying to give presentations. So, just to recap on that, we have two different accounts here. MSU has theirs, which is let you log into Banner, enroll in your classes. The ECE has their own, and they will be sending a email to you saying the account's been created and how to get your password. For those of y'all that have enrolled already and ready to go, then you should have got the email if you're brand new. Second thing, email policies. I'm sure the faculty and everybody has probably gone over this with y'all, but I always reinforce it. We don't like Gmail. We don't like Yahoo. We don't like any of that. None of that's official Mississippi State email. So the only thing that matters here is your net ID at mstate.edu. That's the only way you can send help tickets, which we'll talk about in a little while. That's the only way that officially the university is going to recognize your email or your complaint if there's a problem and you're trying to get resolved. So always make sure in any correspondence with the university, you're using your Mississippi State email, netid at mstate.edu. It'll make your life a lot easier. We have a ticket system here. So if you have some issues, whether it be the cubicle access, need something done there, computing that might have been assigned to you, we can help with anything from stuff on your machine, small things, try to get your software going, VPN issues, printing issues that you might come about. If you'll send tickets, and this is probably a real important email here, help at ece.msstate.edu. Again, that is help at ece.msstate.edu. That send your IT related help tickets, or as time goes on, you'll find out other things that I do, and you'll send to that as well. Printing, it's always a hot topic. We actually offer free printing. We have 100 pages per month for the undergrad and 200 for the grad per month. So every month your quota will be refilled back up. Unfortunately, we don't have rollover minutes or rollover pages. So 200 is the max you're going to get. Even if you only use 2 for the month prior, you'll get 2 more pages added to top you back off at 200 pages. So keep that in mind. We have an intranet for all this information I'm telling y'all about. If you go to the ECE main page and under, I think it's ECE department, you'll see intranet, ECE intranet. You can click on that, or you can just go straight to it at intranet.ece.mstate.edu. Once you log in there, you'll be able to see multitude of help things. How to get to the help desk, how to add printers to even your local personal machine so you can print, how to use our VPN systems to get in here. Multitude of information there. So you can go there at your leisure and take a look at all that. Door access to labs. I'm slowly rotating out of this, but currently for now, I'm probably the one you need to see for this. All the labs are key or card access. We don't just naturally give you that. Professor generally has to request that you're in that lab or in a particular cubicle area or place here that's secured. So if you need access, your normal class labs you'll have access to, but anything extra, like your project labs and what have you, those are the ones I'm really referring to. So those will have to be permission or email from your professor. They know how to do that. Just tell them you need in there, and they'll take care of it. And past that, I'm in room 135, first floor, going out toward the library there. Y'all can come by, see me if you need to ask a question. I have usually keep 2-3 students, workers, IT guys. They generally handle probably 90% of the load when it comes to y'all's questions. So be on the lookout for them. If it gets really bad, then I get to talk to you at that point. So, and hopefully I can fix it at that point. But for now, is there any questions? Anything that y'all have for me that I can clear up? Yeah, quiet crowd there. All righty. Well, I hope y'all have an excellent semester and welcome to the ECE.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, our next speaker is Miss Jean Mohat. She will introduce our IEEE student chapter. So I believe we have a very famous student chapter, which win several prestigious awards. Oh yeah, you can come by. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Are we sharing the screen? Are you in your,
Yeah.
are you sharing the screen?
Yeah. Share screen. Yeah, can you-
Perfect.
full screen. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Maybe not. Maybe we won't do it that way. Sorry.
Did I leave you?
No. Let's start a video.
Let's start with it.
Why do you want to start a video?
Okay, it's okay. Okay, let's share.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the orientation. I guess you've been sitting here. And I noticed when I was sitting in the back that I know a lot of you, which is really great because that means that a lot of you have already been through the ECE curriculum as undergraduates. Yeah. How many of you did ECE undergraduate here? Did you undergraduate? Perfect. Okay. And I do have a reason for asking because, you know, a lot of times the new students who are coming in as TAs end up being my TAs for digital and micro. And like, that's really great because it's like you already know the IDEs, you already know the software. So that's really cool. If not, then we'll talk about that. But I'm not here to talk about that today. I'm here to talk about IEEE. How many of you are already members of IEEE? You're members of IEEE? Okay, well, good. So some of you are. IEEE is the Institute for Electronic Engineers. And I'll stay by the microphone. I noticed that Jeff had a problem before with that. And so we do have a student branch here, and we want everybody to join. And as graduate students, you're going to find out that there are a lot of benefits to being a member of IEEE. And so let's just talk about a little bit about them. So I'm afraid to run it as a slideshow because I don't want to like have anything happen again, but maybe we can just do a page down or something. Yeah, perfect. Okay. And so we do have some links for the student branch of IEEE. We have officers, and it's because of COVID, we haven't done a whole lot in the last year, obviously, but we really want to ramp up again. We had a very active IEEE student branch several years ago. We'd like to get back to that because of the contacts that you can make through being a member of the local IEEE. There are two links here. One is for joining IEEE, and the second is if you're interested in open source software group. So, you know, a lot of very strong programmers. And so this is a group that students are really trying to get going. Hopefully if you're interested in that, you'll go ahead and join that group. We are having a fall social on Friday, August 20th. We're going to be sending information out about that. So make sure and attend that. And so that'll be a good way to meet. And I know we have some people that are distance as well. We do have some things going on down at the coast for our undergraduates that are down at the coast. But we also have several other areas of IEEE rather than just the student branch that I'll be talking about. So it is a good way, as you can see down there, to network, to meet the faculty, and to have contacts in industry. So it is the largest professional society. It has over 50 different societies. So anything you could possibly think of that is associated with electrical and computer engineering has its own society and associated societies. So probably you'll find out as you begin to look at the list of them that you'll want to be in many of the societies. And as a student, it makes it really nice because you can get in for free and for very minimal cost versus the professional cost that you pay. Some of these slides are a little bit old, but you can see the growth worldwide of the student presentation or the student population within IEEE. So 63% graduate students. You see that a lot of graduate students join. Why do graduate students join? So that you can get access to the publications, so that you can go to conferences and present, right? So that's certainly something that you're interested in as a graduate student. You'll need to be doing that. And so joining IEEE is the way to go there. All right. If we take a look at the sort of the branch of IEEE and the multiple vectors associated with it, if we talked about just the student branch here at Mississippi State, we have a branch, and then we have a section. Okay. We are part of section 3. Section 3 is part of the Southeast. First of all, there's a Mississippi section that we're a part of, and then that's part of Region 3. And so The Mississippi section actually has a conference in October. If you're interested in presenting papers already, or if you want to find out, there is a conference going on within the Mississippi section, a small conference that you could actually present at. And certainly there are lots of other conferences, but that's just the local conference that the Southeast region is actually hosting. All right. And so looking at the IEEE, we see that we have technical programs, obviously ideas of the chapters. We have technical chapters. We have competitions. We have a programming competition in October. It's a student competition for program. It's a 24-hour programming competition if that's something you're interested in. There are all sorts of robotics competitions. We have paper contests, and certainly the magazines that you can get, the Spectrum and the Potentials, great information gathering. Generally broad magazines, but that's the two general magazines that are available. As I mentioned before, discounts are certainly available to you as students. Okay. Obviously, most of these conferences require volunteers. Don't hesitate to get into a society that you're interested in, find a conference that you're interested in, and begin to volunteer. They want students. I'm associated with Oceans Conference. Some of the work that I do is associated with the Marine Technology Society and the Marine Technology Society within IEEE. And so we have our Oceans Conference. A huge portion of it is run by students. So obviously you want to get involved with conferences and begin to volunteer for that. Certainly you want to volunteer for the local. We have a lot of undergraduates that volunteer here, but it's nice to have the graduate students because they sort of lead the charge. They can put the undergraduates to work, right? And so some of you who have been here as an undergraduate are probably familiar with that, but having the graduate students sort of do the planning and get it going and have the undergraduates do the work is really nice. Okay. Best parts of IEEE, certainly the knowledge. We all know that technology changes very, very quickly. So you have that capability, the community. I know Dr. Ball is going off on a conference or going to Huntsville, the community that you build within IEEE, right? So getting to know others that are in your field, either locally, regionally, internationally, right? And giving back, right? So lots of people are involved with IEEE at the organizational level. So huge areas or huge ways for you to get involved. Okay. I'm not going to click on all these links. I'm afraid to click on anything else, but we can see there's lots and lots of things for you to grow, ways that you can grow and get information from IEEE. Most of the publications are available through your membership. You can just access it directly. I mentioned the society membership. Again, over 50 societies. Choose the ones that interest you. Significant discounts. Paying professional fees are much higher. I just saw that my fees for this year were over $400 to be a member of IEEE. As a student, probably less than 100. So these are a listing of all the societies that you could choose what you're interested in. So just like you're choosing your major professors, you want to take a look as you're reading the publications, choosing which societies you're interested in. Okay. And again, these are all ways that you could benefit from the membership. So I'm not going to go through any of those, but you can see there's all sorts of ways that you can benefit. So, yeah. So again, these links are all available on the IEEE.org website. So you want to go ahead and go there and join IEEE. When you join, I ask that you go ahead and put your school down as Mississippi State University. You don't want to put it down as your undergraduate unless that's where you went to undergraduate. But some of our international students go ahead and put their university that they went to as an undergraduate. You want to make sure and get your association here with Mississippi State. That will help you with your associations as a member. Okay. And again, you can check out most of these things online. Our student branch has its own website. You can check out information there. But as I mentioned, we are having a social on Friday, August 20th. You'll hear more about the local branch then. But please try to join and we have ways for you to join, as I mentioned on the second slide. Okay. All right. And you can see there some of the activities that we have going on. Okay. All right, just to list through those, we have the technical presentations. I mentioned the extreme competition. We have a WE conference, Women in Engineering Conference. And so that is growing, part of the Oceans. We have a women's group that is going with WE to the Oceans Conference in San Diego this September. Eta Kappa Nu is the leadership. All of you as graduate students are part of Eta Kappa Nu. If you choose to join, we'll be having information about Eta Kappa Nu, which is a subset of IEEE at this point. And so you'll be hearing about that. That is for those who have extremely high GPAs, which all of you do. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be in graduate school. Okay. Again, you can read about some of these things. I'm not going to spend too much time. I don't want you to be having to sit here too long. But anyway, all right. So yeah, sorry. All right. One thing that I didn't mention here, we have the Young Professionals. The Young Professionals is a very active society going on both at the Mississippi region and at the Region 3, as well as internationally. So those who are graduate students, those who have just recently graduated can be part of the Young Professionals. It's a great way to meet other people your age and your interests, just getting out of school, just getting out of undergraduate and being a part of the graduate school, or just going into industry at first. The Young Professionals is a great way to get involved with that. Eta Kappa Nu is the honor society. As I mentioned, everybody is available or can be a part of that because you are a graduate student. And so you'll be getting information about that as the semester goes on. Okay. All right. And then there's also a computer society. We have a student branch of the computer society. It's one of the 50 plus societies that there is. We do have a computer society. Again, because of COVID, it hasn't been doing much at this point, but it can grow. I've had students who have gotten great scholarships, $2,500 and more per year to run the computer society here on campus. So that's always a great way. And something that I recommend with that is to get a mentor. You can have your own mentor if you're in one of these societies as part of IEEE. So a lot of students like to have a mentor associated with IEEE, maybe somebody that's very, very associated with where they're from or from a different university. Obviously, you want to have a mentor with your advisor here as well. But the mentors sometimes know a little bit about the societies that you could find out more about. Okay, and then you can have your own website within IEEE to host the items that you would want to host that were associated with IEEE. Okay, all right. So I think I talked about each of those different societies and activities that we have locally. All right. So as I mentioned, the way that you actually join IEEE is to go to IEEE.org. And you can use those links from these slides, or just go to IEEE.org and join that way. Make sure that you're a student, and you'll get good discounts. All right. All right. Are there any questions? All right. Thank you. I'll let you close that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be some email announcement about.
Yes.
Okay. Next
Yes.
Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah, August 20th. And we have some new officers within IEEE, And so Dr. Vuk and I are sort of getting them acclimated, and he's really excited. I'm really excited about this, being able to have an on-campus event, because we haven't been able to do that for a while.
Okay. Great.
So yeah, so we'll send out an email.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So I can either pick up that flash drive later, or
Okay.
I'm just afraid to mess up anything.
No,
Like,
okay.
put it down.
Just stop. Stop. Okay. Stop sharing, and you can just, yeah, you can just, I think this is good. Okay, thanks so much. Okay. Is there any questions? I know you may a little bit tired. Our lunch will be started at okay. It's mainly already prepared. That will be in room 104. Okay, we're going to resume 12:15. 12:15. So you take something to food to eat, then take a break. Oh, we have Dr. John Ball here. That's our faculty member, and you're going to present after the break. Okay. Do you have any questions? Is there any question you want to ask? Nothing? Okay, not at this moment. Okay, now let me quickly check. We have some people. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to have a break for people online. We're going to have a break. We will resume until 12:15 Central Time. So we have a, okay, 45, more than 45 minutes break. Okay. Bye-bye. Hello? Hello, everyone. Our afternoon session will start now. Start now. So we mainly is about to introduce our ECE research. So you will know which research you want to contribute with. We start with our 4 research emphasis areas. Okay. Then after that, we have 3 professors will highlight their research, and we may also have some other faculty who want to just to say welcome, hello to you. Okay, so we start with signal processing group.
Right. That's not it. So why is it not? This screen?
You open it.
Yeah.
Can you make it? Okay, now you can you make it smaller? Okay, then you return to meeting. Yeah, then you click share. Yes,
Share content.
yeah, then this is what.
Okay. There we go. All right. Can you guys online see this? Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Dr. Ball, and we have emphasis groups, like Dr. Du was saying here. And I'll apologize right up front. If you've had me in class, I like to walk around. I feel like I'm locked right here with the microphone, so I'm wanting to walk around already. Anyway, I work with the signal processing machine learning emphasis group. And so before I talk about what we do, I was thinking about this earlier today. There's two things that, well, really, you could have a lot of answers for this, but there's two things that we have an abundance of in this world, right? Problems and data, right? You could give a lot more answers to those two things in abundance, but you can certainly see there's a lot of problems running around. And we have all kind of sensors. You guys have sensors on your phones. If you have one of those smart watches, you've got sensors on those. You go to the doctor, you get poked and prodded, all kinds of sensors, okay? So we're always collecting data. And that's what this group is about. We take data from all of these sensors and other sources, and we process it to solve problems. So that's really exciting. So let me go through some of the members of the group. There's myself. I work primarily in signal and image processing in some diverse areas. So automotive autonomy. I do a lot of work at the Center for Advanced Vehicular Systems, CAVS, off campus. And I'm teaching a class, sensor processing for autonomy, in the spring. That's you can take that as a master's level class. So if you're interested in learning more about autonomy and cameras and radars and lidars, that might be something that you'd consider. Also do work in areas like rehab and prehab, working with kinesiology and industrial engineering, working with medical people. We collect data off of the body, like the ankle complex movements. So rehab, which is what you do after injury, or prehab to prevent it, assessing sports things, so things like that. Dr. Du, here, you guys know her. Obviously, she's been orchestrating this whole thing, and thanks for putting it together. She's a world-renowned expert on deep learning and remote sensing, okay? And these people that I'm talking to you about are all world-renowned experts in their area. You've got a thoroughbred group, not only in my area, but in all the areas that you're going to see here. So Dr. Fowler, he's really known for hyperspectral imagery analysis, wavelets, he's an expert in that, video coding. Ali Gerbooz is almost a carbon copy of me, but he's smarter, so that'll be cool. He does basically all the things I do: radar, automotive autonomy. He also does a lot of really cool things with sparse signal processing. So maybe you don't have enough samples, or what's the effect of going off grid in your samples when other algorithms fail. His work really well. And so he teaches some really cool classes, and I think you'd be wise to consider him if you're in that area too. Dr. Moorhead is in scientific visualization and image processing, and he heads the GRI Institute out at the HPC at the research park. So I'm working with him on a really cool project for NOAA. We're doing machine learning to do fish species identification and estimation of fish length. Okay, that's really important for enforcement that NOAA has to do, and it's a really, really hard problem. And those are the kind of problems we tackle in this area. That's what makes it fun to me. We got Dr. Bo Tang, AI, machine learning. We've got a really neat project. You guys have probably heard or seen on the news about cell phones in prisons, right? So that's contraband cell phones is a big problem. We're working to use low-cost electronics to localize and detect these cell phones. Again, it's a really hard problem, but it's fun to work on. And Dr. Zhao Jumbo, he cyber physical systems, parameter estimation, security, power, if you're interested in those kind of things, machine learning in those areas. So we've got a wide variety of applications. A lot of the techniques we use may be specific. You're thinking, okay, image processing, signal processing, but they apply in so many different areas. All right, so here's some examples of work where we, Dr. Zhao works with physical systems and cyber systems. So physical system is something that's physical. A cyber system is something that exists on the computers and interfaces to the physical system. So you can see a lot of the cool things that go on here. Dr. Gabuz is right there in front of me. Like I said, he's a world-renowned expert on machine learning, especially compressed sensing, radars, signal and image processing, millimeter wave and microwave applications. We work together on a lot of projects, and we have a lot of stuff, going on at CAVS right now. And then here's a little bit about me. I should have updated this to be fall of 2021. I'm teaching DSP again, and in the spring I'll be doing the sensor processing for autonomous vehicles if you're interested in that. You can take both of those classes as master's level. They're split level classes. There's some areas of my research, and we do, Dr. Gabuz, Dr. Tang, and I, we have the radar lab here in Simrall. Dr. Karoom and Dr. Gabuz have the Impress lab, where they do a lot of microwave remote sensing and basic experimentation and developing hardware. And then we have a sensor lab over at CAVS. Okay. So in conclusion, we're just in a wide variety of things, and the classes that you would take in this area apply to signal and image processing, but it's so broad. You can use them in so many different areas. They would give you a great foundation as you move on to a research career, an academic career, or a career in industry. Okay, that's it.
Okay, I'm Dr. Jean Mohammadi Iraq, and I'm here to introduce you to the digital systems and microelectronics emphasis area. I will not do justice by anyone's research area except maybe mine, because it's really hard to talk about what your faculty colleagues are doing when they're experts and they're doing cutting edge research. And like Dr. Ball said, everyone in our department, not just my interest group, but everyone is doing some cutting edge research. We're getting lots of awards, and we're excited to share with you a little bit about what we do. But I encourage you, if anything sparks your interest, or even if I describe it and it sounds kind of boring, but if it's someone else's research and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure, I encourage you to go seek out members of the faculty and talk to them and get to know what they're doing. Don't just make assumptions off what I said, because again, if you're cutting edge, it's really hard for someone else to describe it. So our interest group has 6 faculty that participate in research, and I'm going to introduce each of us. But first, we wanted to talk some about recommended courses in case you're looking for courses to sign up. So our emphasis area, you can think about like we're the computing group, we're the embedded system group. So Dr. Ball was talking about his group, using sensors and data and doing a lot of analysis. Our group is designing computing systems, and we're using computing systems, embedded in other applications. For example, mine's kind of an interesting application. It's in education, but computers embedded in education, how can they help us? So the courses we recommend you take, these are courses that are on the schedule this fall. So you can take computer architecture, embedded systems, digital system design, all of these. If you notice, a lot of them have 7 as the second digit of the course code. That 7 indicates that it's a computing microelectronics emphasis area course. So you can kind of, if you're interested in this area, that can help you identify those courses on the master schedule. There are a lot of other ECE courses like in signal processing and machine learning that can also be very helpful, and I encourage my students to take them. We also looked a little beyond this semester. So we will have courses in nanoelectronics that Dr. Koshka teaches. There's none this semester, but be on the lookout if you're interested. Wireless communications, asynchronous design, things like that. There's also some non-ECE courses. You'll want to talk with your major professor, but a lot of us in our group recommend students take these courses. The ENE classification code is for engineering education. If you're interested in faculty positions, not just engineering education research, but faculty positions, these courses can be very helpful. For instance, the assessment course helps you design assessments. So if you're a teaching assistant, that may also be a course you're interested in, especially if your future career is an academic career. The industrial engineering is IE. So there's some engineering administration, project management. Those courses can also be useful. And then chemical engineering has a proposal course. So they walk you through how to write a proposal, your dissertation proposal, also National Science Foundation proposal, research proposals, things like that. So that course can also be helpful. So you can keep that in mind as you're thinking about what you might want to take. Okay, so the members, we have Dr. Sammy Khan, and let me see if I can make this go away. Okay, Dr. Sammy Khan, he is our department head. He typically teaches senior design too. He's teaching that this semester. His research areas are in optimization, robustness, and security of computer systems. So he talks some about how, let's see, next slide, please. Okay, so when we think about these large data centers that we have, they use a lot of energy. So like Amazon Web Services and other large data services, we have cloud computing services. So he does a lot of optimization for energy usage and how we can make these more robust and more stable, keep the hackers from taking our data and destroying our data centers. As we have moved to a lot of cloud applications, this has become more and more important. So it's definitely a hot topic research area. Dr. Khan does have opening for PhD students in the spring, but right now his positions do require US citizenship. So keep that in mind. But if you're interested, it doesn't hurt to reach out because he may have future opportunities. Okay, Dr. Yaroslav Koshka, he teaches nanoelectronics. He also does quantum computing and solid state electronics. He really is that microelectronics specialty. He has run the optical characterization lab. There's laser spectroscopy, big words, spectroscopy, nanofabrication, and nanobiomedical devices. Those have all historically been very exciting interdisciplinary research areas in the department. If you're interested in nano computing, quantum computing, things like that, do reach out to him. The opportunities right now are limited, but again, we're always seeking new research projects, and so something may come up in the future. One interdisciplinary area that Dr. Koshka has worked a little more in would be with, in conjunction with biomedical applications. So this was an example of detecting molecules that could indicate that someone had cancer. So using semiconductors and nano devices to do that. We have the Dr. Liu's in our group. So Dr. Xiaomin Liu, he's the robotics guy. Need I say more? He also does VLSI and some of the embedded system, things like that. So his research group has a lot of robotics. He's very interested in applying bio-inspired intelligence and swarm intelligent algorithms to robotics and autonomous systems, including motion planning, navigation, robot control, and localization. So he is the one that teaches the robotics classes in this department. So if you're interested in that or any of those applications or where robots could be useful or any of the different algorithms you can use to drive them, please reach out to him. Dr. Yulu is also in our group. His interests are in edge computing, Internet of Things, cybersecurity. He's going to do a short presentation after this, and so you'll get to learn more about his interest in more detail. So instead of kind of flubbing through it, I'm just going to defer to him and you'll hear from the expert himself. But here's some pictures of some things that he's done, like Internet of Things for underwater exploration, and then harvesting wireless communication networks and things like that. So you'll learn more about Dr. Yulu in a little bit. Dr. Brian Jones is on sabbatical this semester, so he is not teaching classes, but he typically would teach microprocessors, embedded classes, or our design courses. His areas are literate programming, writing to learn to program, and embedded systems. He does some education research with me, so our areas are very helpful to each other. So from his perspective, when we're thinking about how students learn to program, there's some misconceptions when you write software. So some of those misconceptions are that you just compile the code and if it runs and it gives you the output, then you're done. And that code is self-documenting. We often hear, I don't need to write comments. The code tells you what the code is supposed to do. So he does a lot of work with kind of correcting those misconceptions and developing software that students can use to learn better programming and software development practices. So he's developed this code chat software, and essentially it is like Microsoft Word for programming, or if you ever got the pleasure of using DreamWorks or any of those applications where you have like the code like HTML and then you have the pretty print side by side, you could edit, drop a table in the Word version and it creates the HTML, things like that. That's what he's doing for coding. So this is an application using Python, and you can see he just has a side by side here where you have the Python script and code, and then you have the pretty print. And this is a way for students to kind of learn to program initially. Okay, and then there's me, Dr. Jean Mohammadi Iraq. I typically teach design classes, and my research area is squarely in engineering education, especially how digital systems can support and measure the way that we teach people to be engineers. I also do some diversity research with broadening participation from groups in the US, at least, that don't typically pursue engineering degrees. So the Writing to Learn project, where Dr. Jones is a part of that, he is more on the computing pedagogy, so how we teach programming, and I'm more on the education research and the cognitive aspects, like how our brain works and how people learn and the thinking processes and the changes that have to occur for them to learn to program. I also have a similar project, or the example project, I guess, is we are using machine learning to classify the comments and the writing that people have in their code so we can understand what level of programmer they are, and we can help coach them by helping them write better code, write better comments. And it's things like knowing whether someone is writing something literal or whether they're writing like a reflective comment that indicates they really know what they're talking about. So we're using different machine learning classification for that. Then I also am teaching computational thinking, which is the precursor to programming, to 7th grade students using 3D visualization. And this model is really teach the teachers. So I teach 7th grade teachers and they teach their students about these computational thinking skills. And I do other things like learning analytics. So we capture a lot of data from people's students' laptops, or you could think maybe your phones, and we knew whether you were paying attention or not. And that let us give some recommendations for instructors about how they could better engage engineering students in large lectures. So this is our group. All of our contact information is on the ECE website. Again, come to our offices, set up an appointment, email us, anything. If anything sounds interesting to you and you want to know more, we definitely encourage you to reach out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my name is Chanya Park. So I'll be introducing you to the emphasis area of power systems, high voltage, and controls. So here are our faculty members. We have Dr. Randy Follett, who is in charge, who is doing research on controls, and Dr. Yong Fu, who is a power systems expert, and Dr. Masood Karimi, who focuses on power electronics, and Dr. Sungduk Choi, who also does power electronics, but he's more on the hardware side, and he also works on EMI. And myself, Dr. Chanya Park, I work on high voltage and dielectric materials, and Dr. Jumbo Zhao, who is also a power systems expert. And we have Dr. David Wallace, who is the manager of the high voltage lab. So as you can see here, our emphasis area is quite multidisciplinary. You can see that we not only have electric power systems, but we also have things like power electronics combined with power systems, and of course renewable energy sources, and that all the dielectric materials that enable these power equipments to be operated are dielectric materials, right? So I focus on high voltage and dielectrics to ensure that these power equipments do not fail and can maintain high quality until the end of its lifetime. And we also our area also focuses on transportable electrical systems. So this includes electrification of transport, like electric cars, ships, and aircraft. And of course, everything that we utilize these systems are run by specific control codes that we develop in our expertise. So we have several funding agencies funding our research group, mainly from federal agencies and also industries and utilities. So actually the industries and utilities can be treated almost the same thing. But when it comes to federal agencies, we have several projects from NSF and DOD. DOD includes ONR, Office of Naval Research, and Air Force. And we have big projects from DOE. When it comes to utilities, we have power companies like Entergy, TVA, Southern Company. And when it comes to industries, we have ABB and also switchgear manufacturers such as GNW Electric. So here are the courses that are offered from our team, and these are 4,000/6,000 courses. We call this split level courses. And this means that you will actually, this course is offered for both undergrads and graduate students at the same time. So when you select to take the course, if you're a graduate, because you're a graduate student, you'll automatically be enrolled under the 6,000 level, but in the classroom, you'll also see undergraduate students. And when it comes to graduate level courses, there are, so anything above 6,000 level courses are graduate level. And these 8,000 level courses are more, I would say, less frequently offered type of courses, more specific courses directed towards specific research areas. And so, and also even under these 8,000 level courses, there are courses called 8990, 8990. These are special topic courses. So for instance, in this semester, I will be teaching a special topic course focused on some dielectric materials and new solutions. And specifically in this fall of 2021, these are the courses that will be offered. So power transmission systems will be offered by Dr. Yong Fu, and power system operation and control also from Dr. Yong Fu. And this is a special topic, emerging dielectric challenges and solutions. Emerging dielectric challenges and solutions, that will be offered by myself. And the advanced power electronics will be offered by Dr. Songdok Choi. And power systems relay and control will be taught by Dr. David Wallace. In addition to these letter grade courses, so letter grade courses that are courses where you have to, take exams and you get a letter grade like ABC. But there are also courses such as ECE 8000, 9000, 7000. So these are research hour courses for, so in particular for international students, these courses are important because you need to maintain a certain credit hours in order to maintain your student visa. So in that case, and in case if you have completed all your coursework after several years, you will reach that point. And in that case, you can utilize these ECE 9000 if you're a PhD student in order to maintain certain credit hours that you have to meet throughout the semester. If you're a master's student, you can utilize ECE 8000 to do the same thing. And there's also something called the ECE 7000, which is a direct individual study. So this is something like a mini research project that you do. You first approach a faculty member and discuss what type of research, a short-term, I would say a semester or maybe up to 2 semester long research topic. You discuss that. And if you want to pursue that, you can ask for an ECE 7000 and pursue that small research topic throughout a semester or 2. So here are some research activities. So we have electric power systems. When it comes to power systems, it involves power system optimization, economics, dynamics and stability analysis, wide area monitoring and control, integration of renewable energy sources, the smart grid, and machine learning, synchrophaser, state estimation, etc. And when it comes to control and power electronic converters, it involves multifunctional power electronic converter systems, modeling, design, and control of distributed energy resources, including PV, wind energy, and solar, and battery. And microgrid related topics are currently being pursued. And nonlinear, robust, multivariable optimal controls are also related to the power electronics related research topics. Yeah, so when it comes to just power electronics itself, we have faculties working on the reliability of power electronics system, so such as condition monitoring, estimating the remaining lifetime of power electronic device. This is an important topic, especially nowadays with the newly developed power electronic modules, like wideband gap modules, involve some quicker aging process in general. So it is becoming a more and more important topic to understand correctly how much of a lifetime is left in your device under certain conditions. And also, we work on electric machine drive systems and transportation applications. Like I mentioned, not only electric cars, but more, I would say electric cars is already in, came to our lives. We can purchase those, but more research is now being focused on electric aircraft and electric ships. So those are some of the things our faculties are working on. And of course, wideband gap devices, including GaN and silicon carbide devices, are something the power electronics professors are working on currently. And myself, I am working on the high voltage and dielectrics research. And my role is to develop new dielectric materials. First, identify the emerging challenges with everything going on in the technology realm, identify new challenges, and develop novel solutions to tackle and mitigate those challenges. So we do research on something called partial discharge, not only detection, but also mitigation. And We also do research on liquid metal polymer composites. These are stretchable, bendable, deformable, wearable electronic materials. And we also do nonlinear electric field grading materials. These are mainly developed to replace SF6 gas. So for those who don't know, SF6 is a globally used electrically insulating gas, but it has a very high global warming potential. So a lot of states in the United States and in European countries are already banning the use of SF6 in newly developed power equipments. So we are helping industries to be able to avoid using the SF6 while maintaining the integrity of their device as they were using SF6. And of course, we have amazing facility in the lab. So we do a lot of lightning related research with other folks, not just in ECE, but also in aerospace or geoscience or material scientists who are interested in learning ways to make more lightning tolerant materials for aerospace structures mainly. And last but not least, we are working on the electromagnetic interface EMI mitigation materials. We also have automotive electrical systems. So this is kind of overlapping with the power electronics, but more application specific research is ongoing, including hybrid vehicles, and obviously the control system for hybrid vehicles and battery management system, etc. And electric ship is also a part of the electrification of transportation. So DC, medium voltage DC grids are being used in electric ships and aircrafts. But the interesting thing about these applications is that there's no ground. Because ships are floating on water and airplanes flying, it's an ungrounded system. So there are weird things going on if there's a fault. The fault behavior is totally different from what you'll see in the terrestrial on-ground power systems. So those are the aspects that we are also investigating. So I'll just go through some of the labs as a highlight. So we have the power system laboratory. This is Dr. Yong Fu's lab. So there they have real-time digital simulators to perform fully digital electromagnetic transient power system simulation in real time. And this is also his work, Dr. Yong Fu's work. So he works on wind turbines and solar panel integration into the grid. Distributed Energy Resource Controls Lab. This is Dr. Masood Karimi's lab. So he works on solar panel simulation, and he has state-of-the-art software tools for simulating power systems and power electronic integration. And we have Power Electronics Laboratory, which is run by Dr. Sung-Duk Choi. And he has a variety of research interests, including cars, aircraft, and ships, and also EMI. He mainly focuses on the conductive EMI, including common mode and differential mode EMI. And he also designs motor. This is the high voltage lab. This is where I work. And this is the largest university-operated high voltage lab in North America. There's a lot of high voltage lab in European countries, but in North America, by far, we have the largest high voltage lab in North America. Not only the largest, but we have abundance of very unique capabilities and equipments. So if you have any crazy ideas that you want to test out, please feel free to contact me. We can set up an experiment to debunk your myth or just to validate your ideas. And always, our faculties are open for you to contact whenever you need help or advice. So these are the contact info that you will be able to have access to when you go to the ECE website. I would recommend you not to cold call, right? But rather send an email before. I guess at least for me, I tend to respond to emails more quickly than I respond to phone calls. So please email the faculties if you have any concerns or questions. Okay, thank you.
Right, we share or agency or what? Working? Right. All right. Welcome to the orientation. So my name is Mehmet Kurum. Welcome to the Mississippi. Welcome to our department. So I'm gonna introduce you our research group, Communications and Electromagnetics. We have 5 faculty members, and I'll introduce them briefly. But first, I should say this area is quite important because it involves communication and it involves sensing. So think about a life without communicating, without sensing, right? So, so we develop, in our group, we have 5 faculties. Of course, there's a lot of specific things we're doing, but ultimately we're developing enabling technologies for next generation wireless systems, security, and sensing systems. And you see some pictures here that highlight some of the work that we're doing. So it's a lot of antenna designs, 5G communications, vehicle-to-vehicle communications, drones, satellites, a lot of things that involve communication and sensing. All right. So some of the courses. So we have a variety of electromagnetic and communication-related courses. But also, what I would say is the signal processing is also very important. So I usually encourage students, when they take electromagnetic communications, so they have to really get some good background in signal processing. So we have a very good, group, research group in that area as well. So I listed some of those areas that's related to our research. So we'll share the slides. So you're going to have the slides so you can really take a look at those. But like I said, undergraduate electromagnetic course to advanced electromagnetic courses and communications and etc. These are some of the courses that we have related to our area, and this in fall semesters. These two are first are the electromagnetics undergrad, EMAC 1 and 2, Introduction to Radar, Embedded Systems, Data Communications, and we have a special topics, optimization for machine learning, right? So machine learning is a big thing. So that's also the area that we highly apply in our research. All right, so we are excited to have a new faculty member. In fact, he's here, Dr. Juming Dio, and he's going to introduce his area after that. But just to briefly highlight, what he's doing. He's doing more like an antenna, developing a novel antennas for radio astronomy, for communication, or for wearable devices. So he does a lot of beamforming. So beamforming is a big thing for 5G, right? So the frequencies are going up and up. So powers are, you have to have a very focused signal towards certain directions. So you need to steer your beam. So it's a very important area. And he has some crazy ideas of using the beamforming from the swarm of drones. That's it. So I think he's going to talk more about those, but I just leave it at this point. So the next is Dr. Ryan Green. I think he's here too. So I don't know whether he will be talking here after, but he's here. So if you have questions, feel free to ask him. So I'm sure he will be happy. But he's mostly doing this transparent antennas. Think about a 5G. Like again, you have a building, you have these windows. So he wants to turn those windows into antenna so that we have a very efficient communication, even if we're in the building. Because the 5G is high frequency, it will not go through the buildings or the trees and all that sort of stuff. So he's working on those things. And of course, the additional like the wireless medical telemetry is another thing that he's working on. And there's some pictures. I see a peak there with something wrapped around it to sense the interior part of the peak, I guess. I don't know, but he'll talk more. Yeah. So if you have interest in like this wireless medical telemetry and that sort of stuff, so he's the one that you want to contact with. All right. So my area, well, I do mostly microwave remote sensing from satellite scales to the drones, and my main expertise is applied electromagnetics. So I develop electromagnetic models to understand the environment, to understand like how the satellite data, how do we interpret the satellite data or the drone data at other frequencies, microwave frequencies. And one of the big area that I have is the recycling radio frequency for science. So the radio frequency interference is really getting a problem for science, and the spectrum is getting very, very crowded, and not much space for the science. So what we do is we harness the existing signals and turn them to remote sensing. So we really turning enemy into the friend. That's a big thing. Hopefully, it's a big thing at NASA and also Department of Defense as well, because you're sort of passive here, you're hiding yourself. And it's a big thing for NASA because it's small, so you can put in small satellites, you have a bunch of those, and you can have more frequent visit and to sense the Earth. I have a website there, so you can go and get more information, and feel free to contact me if you have interest in this area. Dr. Chun-Hun Liu, so he works on 6G. So we've done 5G, he's going beyond that, right? The 6G, so he's going even future, right? He does a lot of like the cellular network, from vehicle to vehicle, from drone to drone communication. He does a lot of security as well, wireless security. He's a pretty theoretical guy, and he does apply. I show you that course, the mission optimization, machine learning for optimization. So he's offering that course, and he does a lot of machine learning stuff for wireless communication in that area. Last but not least, Dr. Vuk Marovich. He does 5G and 6G cellular communication, aerial communication. One of the big areas that he's working on is the RF test bed. So everybody's talking about this 5G, but how things gonna work out in the real life? So you have to build a test bed. So he has collaborations with some universities, like the North Carolina State University. So they have a big test bed they're building, and also you can see some pictures here. They want to understand this, how do we use the spectrum efficiently, and the security portions, of course, the AI in communication, and etc. I think this is the last, I believe. Yes. Yeah. So this is our sort of faculty profile. So if you want to get more information, some of the faculty has websites, so you can go or just send email and talk more, make an appointment. We'll be happy to talk. I can't talk my area hours, no problem with that. But I guess that's it for for these purposes. So thank you.
Thank our four faculty members representing their group, Dr. Jumbo, Dr. Jean, Park, and Dr. Matt. So next is we have several faculties they want to highlight their research area, just to give a bit more information. So we have a new faculty, Dr. Diao, then Dr. Elo is there. And Dr. Park again about the high voltage lab. Then we have several faculty member. Brian Green, Dr. Green, will you talk about something? Okay, great. Then also Ali, Dr. Gubus, you want to talk? Okay, so yeah, I think we are ahead of schedule. I mean, we have time. So I will just let them to feel free to introduce their research. Then after that, we will have a Q&A time. Okay, so going to receive a copy of this presentation and orientation. For the orientation video recorded that will be posted. Okay, so I'm not sure of the questions about a specific presentation. Just let us know. I think that we should be able to share. But for this, answer the question. So and Matt, did you put your that on the desk?
Oh, it's not.
Yeah. He will do that.
Do I need to reshare? Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for the inconvenience. And I'm super excited that I will going to be a new faculty start Monday. And so right now you can still call me Junming, right? Because I'm not officially professor. So maybe, but after that you can call me Dr. Diao or either way. So you can still call me Junming. So let me introduce, talk about myself a little bit. So before joining the, here, and I was antenna design engineer at Apple, and I've been there for about a couple years, and I'm focused on the antenna design and the RF system. So you can see that's our product, Apple Watch. So very proud of our my work, and also I was very excited to be here. You know, usually when you work in the industry, you really don't have your private office room, but I was very excited that I get the key for my personal office room right here.
And that's very good. But the bad thing is I'm not get used to use the key to unlock the door, because in the Apple, we use Apple Watch to unlock the door, right? Do you understand why? Because there's an NFC antennas inside the watch, and then you can use in the NFC means near field communication. You can use the NFC antennas to unlock the door. So what I want to see is the new technology will change your life in the future. That's why we are here. That's why we are doing research. And when I leave Apple and the people there, my manager wasn't very happy. But when I left, he said, bring more your students from the Mississippi State University to Apple. And I told them, yes, I will do that. But before do that, I will do some interviews first. Make sure you are reach the level of the Apple requirement, and then I will send my students for intern, for full-time job. And so I think the thing is, usually when you graduate or when you finish your PhD, I believe the students in some area will be better than your professor. So I think that's the goal of my job. Okay, so for Apple Watch, that's what I did. It's basically the best wearable device in the world, and you can make the communication. You can give a phone call. You have the UWB. You have the Wi-Fi. You can have the Bluetooth, as I said, NFC, and also for wireless communication. It's the same as your cell phone. Everything inside the cell phone can be implemented in the watch. The only difficult is make it smaller. So there are so many things and so many work. But that's the industry level things. And if you go back to research, and I list 2 pictures right here. It's basically all about the beamforming. So the basic idea is for a single device, for example, Apple Watch, right? Is because the antennas is small, it's limited by the physical dimension of the device. You cannot make it super powerful. But if you have multiple device, multiple watch, multiple cell phones, multiple antennas, when you make them as an array, and then you can have a very powerful wireless system. That's the whole idea of the beamforming. So you can see there are two pictures. If you think deeply, they're all, even though they are all beamformings, but they are based on quite different technologies. The first one, this is my PhD work. So we did the phased array, a beamforming array, at the focal point of the radio telescope. This one is a green band radio telescope. The diameter is 100 meters, and it's the world's largest, fully steerable. You can point your reflector different direction in the world, radio telescope in the world. So that beamforming system, you can see antennas is there. You know the position of each antennas. What you did is just combine the signal from each elements together and get a more powerful signal. And another picture right here, this one is, we call it a distributed beamforming system. It's based on the swarm drones, because each drone is moving, and it's really difficult to know the position of each drones. So it will be really hard, but it will be powerful once if it work. For example, if you just looking at watch the Olympic opening ceremonies, right? There are about 3,000 or 4,000 drones, and it's combined with the Earth, very beautiful in the night. And if you consider, if you have thousands of drones and mix them as a big archer, that's a huge antennas. That's a huge, powerful system in the sky. You can point them to different directions, and you don't need to build a huge radar system on the ground. You can make it fly. So it's a very portable, very flexible, and very reconfigurable. So that's the future, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to do. I think it will be the future. And also, for the beamforming system, it also has a very big applications for the 5G and also 6G. As I said, one antennas or one device is not enough. If you can combine lots of them together, you'll be more powerful. More powerful means when you in the countryside, right? Not in the urban area, you can still get better signal. You can still have better life for the communications. So that's how we did. So I think that's basically what I did. Okay, any questions? Or maybe we'll have a Q&A time after that. Okay, we can save time for the next speaker. Thank you so much. Perfect. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can send me email or come to my office, and we can talk more. And my current research includes 4 directions, and one is the sustainable activity, and another one is the group, and the third one is the cybersecurity, last one is the underwater physics. And in the next several slides, I will highlight the sustainable edge computing, green Internet of Things networks that I'm currently working on. The first one is the sustainable edge computing, and for this direction, so in this way, it can easily don't need to upload all the and so our task is like to convert in the network C and to that the image data sensitive and to the object. And for the CN, when I define get the picture, find that it don't have too much. So in this case, the IoT device will find place, partition the SIM network. Then the first part will involve the local grid, on IoT. And then after that the result, IoT device transmit the rest of the data into the central edge server, and then the edge server run the rest of the final result and to keep the IoT device upload the data into the software. And so
we need to do this, and then we will work and get the numbers well communication. And then there are several things that we need to do. 3 challenges. The first one is how to intelligently find the best partition point. And this partition point is not a fixed value. It depends on how much energy that we have and what is the surrounding environment that will this channel. And then we need to, based on this one, to dynamically, intelligently find the partition point and to separate this signal. And we need to dynamically manage the computing power of the sustainable edge server. The sustainable edge server harvests energy from the external, and that means this energy is dynamic. So they need to, based on this dynamic energy, decide what is the kind of computing power to do the calculation, and then to maximize the performance of this network. And then we need to consider how to efficiently upload the data from the IoT device to the sustainable edge server. Because the wireless channel is also dynamic, not fixed. And so if the channel is good, we want to upload more data. If not, then we need to reduce energy and introduce something. And this is the 3 challenges that we have. And the second direction is the green Internet of Things. And for the green Internet of Things, we focus on harvest thermal of RF energy from the RF energy, the thermal energy. Just the external panel, the power maintenance. But for the radio energy harvesting, the challenge is called the power or simultaneous state. They're very weak. So if you want to harvest this weak, optimize the output system. And this is my challenge. And we also need to develop the high precision time supervision protocol. This is the code for this kind of IoT device. We want to form IP talk message. They can translate offline. If we want to save energy, and we cannot let all IoT device be active all the time. So we want to stop the time and then transmit the data when they can. In this case, the sender and the receiver need to wake up at the same time. Get the data, otherwise the receiver. So they need to do the time computation. The conventional time computation uses the time stack change mechanism, estimate the clock screw, clock offset, and to gather local time. But this will consume a lot of energy because the information exchange. So we want to develop a new method just to use the very, very short energy queue estimated from one node. And then we can node at the same time use this energy queue to estimate cycle time of it. This will save a lot of energy. And this works. And third one is to do the efficient transmission strategy design, dynamic energy environment. This is the same as the sustainable edge computing. We need to decide the transmission power, dynamically change the transmission power, and based on the web channel, and get the best throughput. And for the environment-friendly communication in water acoustic networks, and this is my possible. And currently, I am some topic about this. And this is about when we want to develop the acoustic communication system, water and field communication. This is the main thing. In most cases, we will not care about the feeling of the marine. But you know that if we have more and more nodes deployed in water, you will track the behavior of the. So we want to study how to develop environment-friendly communication method to share the acoustic. What we are focusing on. So to do this, we will first detect the marine animal. We find what marine animal it is. It is a whale, or it is a dolphin, and then we will use spectral-based method. This method can detect the theoretical feature of the sound wave received from get from the marine. The waveform from marine animal is not computed. this is a quite different from human beings. What we will talk the next second unpredictable. And but for the animal, they are not that intelligent. So just some way from have some theoretical feature, it will repeat some certain signal again and again. You can see this block. So we will based on this feature and to categorize differently. And this method can also combine with the signal, combine with the and here we will study how to develop some sonic signal that will not affect the animal. And we will have new protocol that share the history of we detect when we detect some animal. Again, we use this protocol to the acoustic channel sharing, something like that. Okay, this is my kind of research. If you are interested in it, you can contact me. Contact my office.
Okay, I'm back. So before we dive into the details, I would like to talk about myself, my brief introduction of myself. So I am originally from South Korea. Well, first of all, I'm an assistant professor and the research director of the High Voltage Lab here at Mississippi State University. I am originally from South Korea. I did my bachelor's and master's both at Hanyang University in Seoul, South Korea. And in August 2013, I came to the United States to pursue my PhD degree at Georgia Tech. I graduated in May 2018 and stayed there for a bit over a year as a postdoctoral fellow before joining Mississippi State University. So in a nutshell, my research is focused on securing the dielectric integrity and preventing electrical aging of next generation power and energy technologies. So as you know, for over a decade, our electricity has been powered in the form of AC, but increasingly, more and more power electronic converter driven systems are penetrating into the grid and also into our lives, as we see in electric vehicles and research efforts in electrification of transportation. So the use of power electronic converter is good because first, it's efficient, and also it enables high power density designs, meaning that you can operate and control a large amounts of power for a small volume and small mass. And also, thirdly, it allows dynamic control of power and energy. So it's a very versatile way, flexible way of using power. However, on the flip side, and these are the things. There are things that people are overlooking, and this is the emerging dielectric risks associated to the use of power converters. So my job is to first educate these people that these risks are emerging and that is there. And second, characterize these risks, and thirdly, develop novel solutions to address these risks. So I'd like to go through some of the ongoing projects right now. The first one is funded by the Office of Naval Research, and this is related to partial discharge. And partial discharge is a phenomena that occurs in these small cracks and bubbles and sharp edges that you see in the top left corner. And these are unavoidable because even if you completely avoid having these defects, no bubbles, no cracks, no sharp edges at all, initially, over time, as you run the device over time, due to thermal loading, mechanical loading, your device is going to wear and tear, and that will lead to some delamination and cracks and bubbles and things like that. So once you get these defects, these are the weak points where the electric field enhances and cause something called a partial discharge. And you can just imagine this as a mini microscale, nanoscale lightnings, which erodes dielectric material over time, which will lead to a complete failure of a device. So in our lab, for this project, we are developing a material called electret, the pink one that you see there. So electret is a material that emits electric field out of it. Just like you have permanent magnets generating magnetic field just by itself, electrets is a complete analogy of magnets in the electric field domain, emitting electric field. So we fabricate these materials and utilize it to address partial discharge. The second project is funded by National Science Foundation, and this is related to the liquid metal composites. So these are the key enabling materials for stretchable wearable devices. A lot of research has been done in terms of its mechanical properties, how often, how many times you can stretch or bend until failure, things like that. But not a lot of research has been conducted when it comes to the failure mechanism and the aging mechanism of these materials under certain electrical stresses. So we are modeling and conducting experiments to identify the impacts of that. So the liquid metal composites mainly has a substrate buffer resin, such as silicone rubber, which is stretchy, and then you mix various types and amounts of liquid metal into it in order to achieve certain physical properties. The third project is funded by G&W Electric. This is a switchgear manufacturer, and as I mentioned before, switchgear manufacturers and power equipment manufacturers in general, they need to move away from utilizing SF6 gas, which is insulating medium, globally used, but that has a very high global warming potential. So that the government throughout the world are starting to ban the use of SF6. So these companies has to figure out a way to avoid using SF6 while maintaining their product's performance. And we are working on developing nonlinear electric field grading materials to help them achieve that goal. Another project funded by NEC Labs and Gyeongsang National University from South Korea is related to lightning. And these guys are developing carbon fiber reinforced polymer panels, which you see here on the middle, the gray ones, which are increasingly being used in replacing metal-based components on aircrafts. So nowadays, more than 50% of the aircraft's body structural materials are made out of carbon fiber rather than aluminum and stainless steel. But the problem is that these materials have very low electrical conductivity, and therefore, when they're struck by lightning, they tend to explode or burn. So in order to avoid that, we're developing new types of carbon fiber composites so that it can withstand certain amount of lightning strikes throughout the lifetime of the aircraft. So when you're on campus, you may hear some big loud booms. That's because we're doing testing for these type of materials. So just keep that in mind. Nothing's wrong. Everything's good. But occasionally you'll hear that boom. This is a project that just recently ended, and it was funded by Airbus, and it was related to the cryogenic power electronics. So, and the focus was to enable electric aircrafts. So electric aircrafts right now, especially the intercontinental flight aircrafts, they cannot rely, the source of the power cannot be sourced from batteries right now because of the current battery technology not allowing such a high energy density. So instead, the alternative is to utilize liquid hydrogen as a main energy source. So if you use liquid hydrogen, that's like 20 Kelvin. 20 Kelvin is minus 250 degrees Celsius or below. So it's a cryogenic temperature, very cold temperature. And the idea is to put all the power systems inside that liquid hydrogen, because not only it allows lower resistance of the regular conductors, but also it allows to use superconductors for the conducting materials. And therefore, the goal was to understand whether the off-the-shelf power electronic modules will also operate well under those extremely cold temperatures. So we developed this test bed that you see in the middle. Basically, it's a thermally insulated cryogenic container where you put the liquid nitrogen and also immerse the device inside and conduct dynamic and static testing of those devices. And finally, this is just an overview of our lab again. Our lab is the largest high voltage lab in North America, as I mentioned before, and we have a variety of capabilities to do high voltage testings, lightning test, and material evaluation test, material aging test over long periods of time. We have various types of environmental chambers to expose our systems or newly developed materials under a certain variety of environmental conditions. Thank you.
I figure I'd stop sharing, so maybe you can see me a little bit bigger for those at home. Hi, my name is Dr. Ryan Green, and I want to tell you one of my favorite things to do when I go to Disney World is not to ride the rides, but to play the game Spot the Antenna. And if you really think about it, it's a very weird thing to do when you go to Disney World and play this game Spot the Antenna. It's kind of an expensive game if you really think about it. But the reason I like to do that is because ultimately, you think about what Disney World is. It is a collection of a whole bunch of machinery and a whole bunch of sensors, all that have to be connected together in order for the most magical place on Earth to remain the most magical place on Earth. So if you really think about what Disney World is, it's kind of the predecessor to the first smart city. So when I go there as an electrical engineer, I think about the smart city concepts that go into making Disney World, that go on behind the scenes where most people don't even think about it. So I go and I look around and I'll see antennas that are out in plain sight, but are designed to look like something else, to not break the sight lines, or to really break the imaginations of anybody that's going there, unless you're someone really crazy like me and is looking for something like that. So that's kind of been the thrust of my research recently, has been how do we take these kinds of ideas that have been used in places like Disney World and actually bring it out into the rest of the world. So for instance, how many of you guys actually like the look of antenna base stations? Yeah, that's what I figured. Nobody here. I'm usually the only guy that does. But I'm weird. I've already admitted that. Most people hate the look of any kind of antenna base station that provides you with 4G or even voice communication. It's kind of a necessary evil in most people's eyes. It's bad to look at, but it's there for our benefit, right? Well, the cell phone companies know this as well. And if you actually go to major cities all over the world, you will find these antennas that are put on the sides of these brick buildings. And then instead of just having the antennas there that you can see, they will put this brick veneer over the antenna that will try and convince you that it's actually not really there. But if you look at it, it's not convincing in the slightest, right? So in comes another idea that instead of trying to make an antenna look aesthetically pleasing, What if we just make an antenna aesthetically neutral? Now, let me ask you this. What can anybody define what aesthetically neutral means? Anybody got an idea? Yes. Invisible. It's practically got the same effect of being invisible, right? So in comes this crazy idea that in smart cities where you got these tall high rises with these big glass sides, how do you incorporate a base station into that that's not going to reduce property value there? And the answer is relatively simple but hard to actually execute, and that's make the antenna invisible and embed it into the glass. So one of the things that I research is optically transparent antennas, in particular antennas made out of transparent conducting oxides. So gallium dope zinc oxide, indium tin oxide, aluminum zinc oxide, these kinds of things in very thin films can actually be very highly transparent, almost water-like clarity, but also provide some sort of communication basis. And as a result, one of the things that we have found in this research is you have about, in order to make an antenna transparent, it's got to be a very, very thin film, but that thin film is so thin it actually introduces resistances into the antenna, therefore making it inefficient. And so what I have found over the course of my dissertation is you have probably a 2 dB or 3 dB drop in gain. Now, if you're starting with a gain of 2 dB, that means you actually have an antenna operating at a gain of a negative number. And that usually isn't really good for an antenna, right? So the next thing that I'm trying to investigate is, are there different topologies that we can explore with antennas, make them transparent, and get a high enough gain so that when we lose that 2 dB or 3 dB drop, they're still relatively high gain. It's still very transparent. So that's one avenue that I'm exploring. Another avenue I'm exploring also involves involving smart cities, is also smart health. So one of the projects that I'm working on is trying to detect the byproduct of plastics manufacturing chemicals in waterways. So this is a kind of a big deal around military bases. Have you guys ever seen firefighters try to put out a fire on a plane, like an aircraft, like military craft? You just don't send the fire department out with a big hose, okay? If it's in a hangar, and I think we have someone here from Eglin Air Force Base, you know this to be true, they douse that thing in this big foam that will just smother the flames right there. The question, though, is what happens after that? Well, that stuff has to drain somewhere, and it usually, unfortunately, drains around the local waterways. And what you'll find is this chemical called PFAS or PFOA that's actually present in the water supply around that area, that in high enough quantities can actually be linked to nerve damage. So the question is, how do we actually measure this without, one, a long turnaround time, and then two, not introducing a lab technician to an unnecessary risk? Well, the current way that they do it is they go out, they get the water sample, they take it to a laboratory that's who knows how many miles away, they test it, they get the results, they test it again, get the results, and make sure that they match, and then they disseminate that information. And you're talking about maybe weeks, if not months, of preparation and just getting it into the pipeline. Well, through the advent of electrochemical sensors and robotic systems, you can actually get to the point, which is what we're exploring, of having this device that can start on the land and go into the water, measure the water sample for those contaminants, beam back the information that it finds back to the shore, and then make a determination on whether or not you want to move forward with that water sample or if you want to go collect another water sample. So taking the logistics time of weeks and turning it into a matter of minutes. So that's really what I focus on. So again, I don't have any slides. I wasn't really prepared to talk, but I'll keep it short. If you're interested in talking to me, I'm on the 4th floor. My name is Dr. Ryan Green. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
I will try to keep you USB. Okay, so I'm the last one. I'll try to keep it short. You already saw this slide when Dr. Ball was showing it. So I'm part of the group, and my name is Ali Gürbüz. What I can say is my lab is in class with Dr. Kuhn, also the cybernetics group. So we have a joint lab, which is called information processing and sensing. So you see the general idea areas I work is signal processing and machine learning. So you some kind of sub areas underneath that, but I would like to go over perhaps a few projects. I see several of you are already in our group, but to give you a general idea about what kind of projects our lab has, one of them is physics area machine learning in RF time frequency domain, radar or communication signals, and waveforms basically each change in time. And one of the things, for example, create radar signal is your movement. And for example, your hand gesture. It basically features in radar data when you look into time. For example, a gesture like this might be something like this, while another gesture might be something else. So we have an NSF project to work on this RF sensing for sign language understanding. Basically, for the deaf people, some understandable features radar too. Might be, but we trying to understand the levels of RF for this also. But the same ideas can be used for, let's say, human and autonomous vehicle interaction, understanding traffic signs, officer signs, or understanding modulation of a radar signal, of a phone signal, etc. So that kind of project might be extended, but we have something. This is another project which we have with Dr. Ball and Dr. Krum for ground vehicle mobility. We have a set of sensors such as optical, LiDAR, radar as well. And what we are trying to do is understand the autonomous mobility conditions for the vehicle itself. So we developed US-based, Dr. Krum showed a few basically autonomous where we had actually different sensors. In this case, a ground penetrating radar to a UAV so that we can image things or detect things underground. So we are looking into, this is also a joint work with Dr. Krum, where he is collecting some basically signal of opportunity signals, and I'm basically developing some machine learning algorithms to map those signals to soil moisture values. So we are creating, we can create, for example, through our algorithm, world maps for soil moistures. We also have stats, global soil moisture maps in our websites.
So this is some USDA work. It's ongoing project. This two new projects we have, one of them, both of them are from NSF. One of them are related to spectrum quiet systems. Basically, I mean, everybody is talking 5G, 6G, right? But when you extend the spectrum, which is really expensive real estate, you cannot really expand it. If you expand it, if overlapping with another application on the next band. So basically, you need to leave together or the different applications or areas you both see over here need to leave together. And this is kind of a project trying to achieve that goal. We have communication signals and remote sensing sensors, basically trying to work in the same frequency band. And how can we do that? How can we use machine learning in that kind of an area and develop test beds, measurements, and algorithms to test our things. And this last one is basically a very recent project, an SF carrier project that I have related to any sensing system. Basically, anything you have, like a camera, radar, MRI machine, basically they acquire data, right? What they do is they sample it, and then they use those samples, process something to reconstruct it, and basically those signals, images, etc., to do some kind of classification, some kind of parameter extraction. Basically learn something from it, right? But we do processes individually. When you are sampling some signal, you are just sampling, or the system that is doing it is just sampling. They don't really care what's that data is used for later. So this project looks for how can we jointly look into this sensing, processing pipeline and in a learning environment. Can the sensors basically learn what type of measurements can they take, or can they do a task-dependent processing and acquisition? So this is a very kind of theoretical project for us, but a long-term project, 5-year project also. We will look into different parts of this learning to sense and process for the sensors. So Impress Lab looks into a variety of things from radars, remote sensing, microwave remote sensing, to algorithms, to machine learning and signal processing, autonomy type of things. And we already, I mean, some of you are already joining our lab, but for the others, if you are interested, we are open and have lots of good toys that you can also play with. So please enjoy and just come and see our lab if you are interested. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank our faculty members. You will see how energetic they are. And if you want to know more details, just contact them. So is there any questions for you, like a course selection, everything? So I will going to release you immediately after this orientation. In case you still not be able to take courses and add courses, just let me know. You know where to find the courses, right? You go mybanner.msd.edu, you will see the course schedule. Then you will choose electronic computer engineering. You will see those courses then that you can select. Yes. So now you currently is a master or PhD. Okay, your question is you are a PhD student. Then how come you get about your master? Transfer. Okay, so you are talking about you got some great, courses in another university, right? Okay, I mentioned this. Okay, now, okay, the question is about transfer credit. I mentioned this morning. I'm not sure you will. Okay, so if you have some graduate level courses you've taken from outside MSP, if that's another university in the States, we'll consider that. But if that's an international institute, that won't be considered. But if that's in the United States, some institute, that graduate level courses should have not been used for your previous degree. So which means if you already use that for your previous master, then we'll not consider that. But if you not be use that for your master degree, then just let me know, show me the transcript and the previous syllabus. Then I will let the faculty member to help evaluate equivalence. You can transfer up to 3 courses, 9 credit hours. I answer your question. If you read our handbook, it shows this information. That's about transfer credit. Okay, so the question is, if that is American university, but that's a campus overseas, right? So then we have to decide, we have to discuss. So that eventually that will be, some discussion within the graduate committee, then we will evaluate. So the most important thing is we will be able to assess the quality of that course, then that will be considered. So I think that's a frequently asked question about transfer credit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Distance student. Okay, the question is, are distance students considered the full-time students? Okay, we don't really worry about if the distance students are full-time or part-time. But if that's on-campus students, because for on-campus students, some of them, if not registered for more than 9 credit hours, they are part-time students, right? So basically, full-time student, we're talking about part-time, full-time, we are more concerned about if they are on campus or not on campus. If they are on campus, full-time student, then they will be eligible for financial assistantships. But as long as they are distance students, we actually consider them not full-time, no matter how many credit hours they enrolled. Also, they are not eligible for financial assistantships. So which means those students receive TARA, they must be physically in the Starville campus. But as long as you are on like distance campus, distance student, then you will follow the distance student rules. That means we won't, you just register at least 1 credit hour to make sure you are continuously registered. So if you say, let's say in the fall semester, spring semester, distance you must register at least 1 credit hour. So make sure you are continuously enrolled. But if you say, okay, for the fall, I don't want to enroll because I finished all my courses. I don't know what to do. I just all my work is too busy. So your fall semester, you didn't register anything. In the spring semester, you want to come back, but then the school, I don't know exactly, but I think the school will charge you back to the fall semester for at least 1 credit hour. So if you did not register in the fall, did not register in the spring, right? Some are not required. So the next fall, you want to come back because you did not register for 2 consecutive semesters, then university will ask you to reapply. you have to readmit. There's some kind of paperwork. There may be also some additional costs, I don't know. So the best thing is just to keep enrolled for at least 1 credit hour. So if you have like a major professors, that would be flexible. You enroll for 1 credit hour, but for courses, they all 3 credit hours. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's some questions about confusing about how many credit hour I should enroll. For distance student, basically no requirement, but 1 credit hour to fulfill the continuous enrollment. Any more? Any question? Yes. Okay, so the question is, if student allowed to change campus? Yes, you're allowed to change campus. Yes. So as long like for international students, then you have to be full-time, right? So that's legally does not make a big difference. But for domestic student, you want to change the campus, yes, you can. You need to submit the paperwork for program change. But I believe the university will limit you the number of times you can change. And also they may charge you. Like probably you change once, you don't pay anything, but in the future you just keep switching. They may come back to say they will charge some fees, a change, or they may just stop you to change it. Yes. And also we have some students say at the beginning, you are PhD, but for some time, I mean, I wish you can finish the PhD because that's the most important degree. I mean, most valuable. At some point, you want to like change it to master. There's also program change form. That's mainly the same form, just like somewhere you mark, you change campus, somewhere you mark, you change program. So within the same ECE, you can change from PhD to master. That's just the paperwork. However, if you say you are currently a master, but in the future, okay, I think before you finish your master, you want to change to PhD, right? So there are some certain kind of criteria. You cannot do that. You have to submit the application for admission because you can go from high to low, but from low to high, you have to submit the admission application through graduate school. But certainly, all the transcript, all the recommendation letters, everything can be reused if these are still like in our admission system. So anyhow, if that's some question, I believe there will be like more specific questions you will have. So you are talking about, okay, so the question about the PhD, how to become a PhD candidate, and the material, how what the next question what you about the presentation? So you are talking about the qualifier. Okay. Were you in my presentation this morning? Okay, so we already changed the qualifying exam. So there's no return qualifying exam for PhD student from this semester. So we will already move to coursework-based qualifier. So it's not a return exam. But if you go to the website, our website, right, ece.msc.edu/grad, you will see qualifying exam. You click there, you will see our policy change. So for students admitted before, enrolled before this semester, they can go either way. They can either still take the old return exam. So we have like a 23, I forgot, 23, 25 courses. They will choose like 8. So there's lots of details there. It's also sample exam. But for students, first enrollment for fall 2021, you don't go that old policy, you go to the new policy. The basic policy is within the 2 years for full-time students, you must take at least 6 ECE courses, not outside department, ECE courses, not include DIS. For that 6, you should receive the GPA at least 3.5. I don't think that is difficult. I don't think so. But certainly there are some problems for students enrolled before this semester, right? They either go the old policy or new policy. If they already pass the return exam, totally fine. If they also, their transcript also show 2 years, like 6 courses, how many A's, that's perfectly fine. But if not passing the return exam, also the new policy somehow not apply to them. What that mean? Probably in the first 2 years, they didn't take that many ECE courses, right? So then we will see. There's some other information provide them to see how they can be considered as qualified. But anyhow, that kind of situation will be finally decided by the graduate committee. Yeah. Yes. So after you qualified, you are not a candidate yet. You have to pass the proposal defense. Before you do proposal defense, you must submit a journal article. So I think that is the most important thing. So without a journal, you must show me like you have something, decent stuff submitted. Then you can do proposal defense. After passing the proposal defense, which actually is a comprehensive exam for PhD, then you become a candidate. So that is the most important milestone for PhD, the PhD study. Yeah. Okay, so I believe you're all very tired and okay, then the question, PhD student don't take ECE 6,000. No. PhD student can also take 6,000 level courses, but your overall courses, you must have 50%, that's 8,000 level. So you can still take a split level like we are offering like digital signal processing, right? That's a split level. So if you are in signal processing area, you definitely should take that one if you have not taken that one before. Another question is, how many courses will be offered online each semester? I think majority of our graduate courses offered online. So one faculty offered on-campus sections. At the same time, there's a distance sections. So for distance students, as long as you go to your banner account, you will see what are those you can select. That's a campus 5. Those are the courses you can take. I think almost all our graduate courses already had the distance sections approved. Okay, anything else? Yes. Okay, there's no requirement like how many. So the reason most of the departments, as far as I know, most of them they require like 12 credit hours. So 12. So for some students, they just want to take courses. They will just take 4 courses. But we want you can find your major professor as soon as possible. So you can like 4 courses plus 1 credit hours, right? If you think 4 courses definitely that's too much, then we'll say 3 courses plus 4 credit hours. But you need to have your major professor adjust that that kind of expectation about your research, because at the end of semester, your major professor will give you a grade as satisfied or unsatisfied, right? So let's say if you didn't take any courses, all your 13 credit hours are research, I believe your major professor will expect you to do a lot. But if that only 1 credit hour, that expectation should be much lower. You probably, just like at the beginning, you may need to identify your research topic, right? You need to do some literature review, those kind. So closely talk to your major professor, that will be highly helpful. Okay. So the question I just responded is about 13 credit hours, that combination, but for distance students, they do not receive RATA, so they don't really follow that requirement. Yeah. Okay, so I think with that, we conclude our orientation. We already have lots of things to convey, and you need some time to digest, and just let us know if you have any questions. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. This one.
This right here.